Good morning, everyone. And today I am going to be teaching you the BRS strategy using the harmonic scanner. So if you don't have your notepad nor your pen, I would advise you to go and grab them now. Please take notes as I go on. I will be writing on a whiteboard first in this Zoom meeting, as well as going over to showing you on the harmonic scanner how to apply all the confirmations and parameters that I will be writing down today. Okay, so remember, get your notepad and your pen, follow with me. This is going to be very in-depth. We want to make sure that you are winning. BRS is a high probability winning strategy. A lot of us are already winning. Persons that would have seen how I grew my $7 account. My $7 account now is at 150 US dollars, and that is within 7 business days. So 7 business days, right? So again, this strategy is a high probability strategy, and I want you guys to win as well. So let's get to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is that we're going to go to the whiteboard and we're going to identify what BRS stands for, right? So BRS the B stands for Bollinger Bands. The R stands for Rsi, and the S stands for stochastic, right? So the parameters we're using on the BRS is 20 and 2. The Rsi is 7, and the stochastic is 5, 3, and 3, okay? These are the parameters we're going to be using on the harmonic scanner. So before I continue into the confirmations of the BRS strategy, let me give you a quick tutorial on how to use the harmonic scanner, right? So I'm going to share my screen on the harmonic scanner. Okay. So this is the harmonic scanner. This is what it looks like. Okay. Now, the harmonic scanner shows you 2 types of formations. You have the W formation, right, which shows you to sell a trade. So the W formation shows you to sell a trade, right? And then we have, let's get to the USD CAD. And then we have the M formation, as you can see here, which shows you to buy a trade, right? So I'll repeat that again. The W formation shows you to sell a trade, and the M formation shows you to buy a trade, okay? Now, along with this information on the harmonic scanner, it gives you an entry point, right? In some cases, it can be 2 entries. So it gives you an entry point. This is where they're suggesting that you enter the trade using this price here or this price here, right? You have a stop loss, and the stop loss is to help manage your risk, right? So you would enter your stop loss in case the trade had to go in the opposite direction. You will not lose all of your money so long as you're using proper risk management, okay? On top of that, we have take profit 1, take profit 2, and take profit 3, right? Now, these take profits are given to you, and the harmonic scanner gives these points as possible areas they expect the trade to go to, right? Now the harmonic scanner win percentage is 87%, right? So if you're just using the harmonic scanner alone, they're telling you that you can win at least 87% of your trades, right? So as you can see here, this is just an example. This is USD CAD on the 1 hour time frame. The first entry was down here at 1.30581, right? So if you would have entered this entry as well as this entry, which is 1.30777, you would have had 2 entries into this trade using this stop loss here at 1.3044, right? Take profit 1 was hit. Take profit 2 was also hit, right? And then the trade reverse. So with these take profits, you can decide which one you want to be your target. I often advise persons to stick to take profit 1 to secure the bag, you know, but if you have the confirmation, you can then take it to take profit 2. Okay? So remember, we don't want to be too greedy in these strategies. All right? So I'm going to go back to the whiteboard now that we've had that brief understanding of the harmonic scanner. But before I go, I want you to look on the left-hand side. And over here, you would see different brokers that we use on the harmonic scanner, right? So if you are not using any of these brokers and you're using an ECN broker, such as like Forex or IC Markets, you can still click on one of them. My advice would be Traders Way. You can click on, right? And once you click the down arrow next to Traders Way, you have scan for M15 and scan for H1, H4, and D1, right? So what that means is that when you scan for the M15, you're scanning for the 50-minute time frame charts, right? When you scan for H1, H4, and D1, you're scanning for the 1 hour, 4 hour, and daily charts. All right. Now, the M15 moves a lot quicker than the H1, H4, and D1, right? Because the M15 is when every candle is formed every 15 minutes. Whereas with the H1, H4, and D1, every candle is formed either every hour, every 4 hours, or every day. So you could imagine that with these time frames, it would take a bit longer for you to hit take profit, right? So you need to understand what type of trader you are. Okay, so back to the whiteboard now. All right, so we have that, you know, we'll be using the Bollinger Bands, RSI, and Stochastic on the harmonic scanner. So remember, as I said, the harmonic scanner gives you 87% chance, right? So what we want to do is that we want to apply some indicators to the harmonic scanner in order to take our 87% to 97%. Okay, so we want more surety that our trades are going to secure the bag, right? So these are the parameters here. Make sure that you write them down. Bollinger Band 20 and 2, RSI 7, and Stochastic 5, 3, and 3. Okay? Now, the time frame that we're going to be using mainly for this strategy will be the H1 time frame, right? So the 1 hour time frame. Right? So the 1 hour time frame is what we're going to be using, right? And the reason for that is So the reason for that is the M15 time frame and chart doesn't really know how to respect structure because it's such a small time frame. The candles are moving rather quickly. And what we want is we want something that is stable and more sure that is going to respect a structure and go in the direction that we anticipate. Right? So the 1 hour and even upwards, so 1 hour H4 and even day one, tend to respect a structure more because there are bigger time frames, and you know, the bigger the time frame, the better the structure is respected. Right? So 1 hour time frame is what we use for the BRS. Some persons use the M15. I don't necessarily advise the M15, and therefore, if I were you, I would stick to the 1 hour. However, I'm just giving you the basics of what works for me. You might then realize that something else works for you a bit better, and therefore you can tweak the information that I'm giving you to tailor to your needs, okay? Right, so we're using a 1 hour time frame, right? The next thing that I want to do now is go through the confirmations that we're going to be looking for with this strategy. But I'm going to go back over to the harmonic scanner now, show you how you can implement these parameters and put the indicators onto the scanner itself. All right, so let's head back to the scanner. Right, so just gonna go back to Euro JPY. Right. So we were looking at this chart earlier, the first chart. This is the W chart. The scanner called this chart for a sell, right? So you can see that the entry or take profit ones, etc., has not been touched as yet. So this is a good chart to look at. So now we're going to enter the indicators and the parameters that I would have set on the whiteboard. So the first thing we need to input is the Bollinger Bands. So using the indicator window, we're just going to type in Bollinger Bands in the search bar and click on that. Then if you look to the bottom of here, we already have the RSI. So the only thing we need to then input is the stochastic, right? So we're inputting stochastic, not the stochastic RSI. This is stochastic only, right? Good. So we have the indicators on the harmonic scanner. Now we're going to move on to making sure that we have the correct parameters, right? So let me do this again. So over here on the top left-hand corner, you're going to see BB, and then you're going to see some numbers, right? And then you're going to see some options next to those numbers. I want you to click the middle option that marks format. And this will then take you to where you can change the parameters of the Bollinger Bands, right? So just make sure that your parameters are 20 and 2, and just click OK. Then we're going to go to the RSI. So if you come down, you'll see the RSI here on the left-hand side. And next to the RSI, you see the number 14. So you know we need to change that number. So we're going to go to the format button again and change that to 7. Okay. And then right under the RSI, we have the stochastic. We see that the numbers are 14, 1, and 3. So we need to change those numbers to 5, 3, and 3. So we're going to go here to the format button. We're going to change the 14 to 5. All right. 3 and 3. And just click OK. Right? So there we have it. We have all of our indicators with the correct parameters on the harmonic scanner. This is what the BRS looks like. So now I'm going to go back over to the white screen as I previously mentioned, and we're going to now go through what confirmations we need to take a trade. All right. Great. All right. Good. So we know that these are the parameters that we need. We already have those input. We know we're focusing on the 1 hour time frame. So now we go over to the confirmations, okay? So confirmation number 1 is the harmonic scanner trade, right? So whether it's a buy or a sell. So the harmonic scanner will naturally call a trade. You just need to make sure that the trade is ready. You need to identify which direction the harmonic scanner is telling you to go to, whether it's a buy, whether it's a sell, right? So that's the first thing. So that'll be our first confirmation. If the harmonic scanner is telling us to buy a trade, we then need to make sure the other confirmations align with what the harmonic scanner is telling us. So number 2 is the Bollinger Bands, right? All right, and the candles need to be touching the outer lines or close outside of them. Right? So with the Bollinger Bands, the candles need to be touching the outer lines, whether it's at the top or the bottom, or close outside of them. So close outside of the lines at the top or close outside of the lines at the bottom. Right? Very simple. Number 3, the RSI has 2 lines, right? The RSI has a dotted line at the top and a dotted line at the bottom, right? So the dotted line at the top shows overbought. And the dotted line at the bottom shows oversold. So just make sure you write that down. The dotted line at the top shows overbought, and the dotted line at the bottom shows oversold. So what we need is for the line, there's a middle line running dynamically through the RSI. We need for that line needs to be touching the top or bottom, depending on the trade, of the overbought or oversold lines, or they can be above or below those lines. And I will show you what I mean when we go back over to the harmonic scanner. All right. Number 4, right? Stochastic needs to align itself with the RSI. So again, similar to the RSI, the stochastic has an overbought line, dotted line, and an oversold line, dotted line, right? Now, if the RSI is showing overbought, the stochastic also needs to be showing overbought, right? And if the RSI is showing oversold, the stochastic needs to be showing oversold. But the stochastic has two dynamic lines running rather than one dynamic line running like the RSI. So there are two lines running on the stochastic. There's a blue line and then there's a red line. Okay? So there's a blue line and then there's a red line. So what you're looking for is the blue line to be either touching the top by the overbought or the bottom by the oversold, or above the overbought or below the oversold, right? Stick with me, it's not that complicated. Just make the notes so that when I go over to the harmonic scanner, you will get the aha moment, okay? So the fifth confirmation is the RSI has two lines, as I mentioned, the blue line and a red line. So your focus is on the blue line mostly, right? So you need, if overbought, the blue line being on top of the red line, or even above the red line, should be pointing towards the red line, if that makes sense. So the blue line is usually on top of the red line, right? Therefore, you want to make sure that the blue line has curved and is pointing towards the red line, right? So it's pointing towards the red line. Make sure you write that down. You want to make sure that the blue line is curved and pointing towards the red line. And that's on the overbought side. On the oversold side, the same thing. So if oversold, the blue line is under the red line, and therefore you want to make sure that it's pointing towards the red line. All right, I'm going to show you what that means in a minute, but just make sure that you have those notes, and these are all the confirmations that we need, right? These are all the confirmations that we need. So the next thing after our confirmations, I also want you to write that our take profit is aimed at 10 pips, right? And our stop loss can be the harmonic scanner stop loss, or you can use a 20 pip stop loss, right? So it could be the harmonic scanner stop loss that they give you, or you can use a 20 pip stop loss as well, right? So the choice is yours. It doesn't matter which one you use. Again, stop loss is used in order to protect your balance and manage your risk. All right, so take profit is aimed at 10 pips, right? And stop loss can be the harmonic scanner stop loss or a 20 pip stop loss. Good. So let's go over now to the harmonic scanner and put everything that we would have typed so far into perspective. All right. So this is a 1 hour time frame for your JPY. We want to see if this is a good trade to get into, right? So at this moment, I would say not as yet, because let me get my vertical lines to show you. Right? So we need to make sure everything is aligned. We know the harmonic scanner is calling a sell. So do we have everything else lining up? So the first thing is that the candles are touching the top of the Bollinger Bands here. The RSI is showing overbought here. But the stochastic has already crossed, right? The stochastic is already crossed. Remember I said that we're looking for the blue line to be on top of the red line, right? In this case, the blue line is now underneath. So for me, this is not a trade that I will go into as yet. Because of the stochastic, we don't have that confirmation. But if you had looked a little ways before, you would have noticed that we have this confirmation 2 candles before the D. So this is just an example, right? So candle was touching the top of the Bollinger Bands. Harmonic scanner calling a sell, showing overbought on the RSI, showing overbought on the stochastic. The blue line is on top of the red line and also pointing towards the red line. So this would have been perfect entry for me. Let's see if we could have caught our 10 pips. So you would wait first for this candle to close, right? You're not going to enter on an active candle. Wait for the candle to close. That gave you the confirmations, right? And then remember to market execute, right? Remember to market execute and then go back into the order and modify it to put your 10 pip take profit, right? So that's something that you need to input yourself. As the harmonic scanner is not going to give you a 10 pip take profit. So the reason why we're using a 10 pip take profit is to secure the bag, right? To secure the bag. So I'm just going to show you before confirmations where you see this blue line would have been our take profit, right? And I'm going to show you where our entry would have been. I'm just going to put that in a different color. So our entry would have been this green line, and our take profit would have been that blue line. So you can see how, although these are very small candles going sideways, right? How we would have been in and out of that market and caught our pips. Very easy, in and out, right? So we would have caught our 10 pips and we wouldn't need to be in this trade anymore because we would have had our confirmations and we would have secured the bag. So that would have been your 10 pips caught. All right. So let's go to another trade. All right. Let's go to another trade. Right, so right off the bat, just looking at this trade, because I want you guys to be able to understand what to look for. Now, right off the bat, without me even drawing vertical lines, yes, the candles would have closed and touched the top of the Bollinger Bands and even closed outside of the Bollinger Bands. Yes, the RSI showed us a really good overbought. Yes, the stochastic showed a really good overbought. However, I want you to look at the stochastic and notice that the lines are moving parallel to each other, right? So they're moving together as if the market is squeezing, right? So the line, the blue line, is not actually pointing downwards towards the red. They're actually moving parallel to each other as if the market is squeezing. And for this reason, I would not have entered this trade, right? You need to get clear confirmations and not force a confirmation, right? So if something doesn't look right, don't enter. Good. So let's continue and look for another trade. Good. All right. So this is GBP and ZE. This is even on a 4-hour time frame, but let us not focus too much that is on a 4-hour. Let us imagine that this is the 1-hour time frame. So let's not focus that this is the 4-hour time frame. Just want to show you guys how the confirmations look, right? So this is the candle here at the D. As you can see, evidently it's closed outside of the Bollinger Bands. Harmonic scanner is calling a buy. So we want to see if this is a trade that we can take and get into based on what the harmonic scanner is telling us, right? And see if our confirmations line up. So let's have a look here. We're focusing on the candle at the D, right? So let's imagine that these 3 candles have not happened as yet, and we are at the candle at the D. We're going to line up the RSI and line up the stochastic with it as well. Great. So as you can see, RSI is touching the oversold line, dotted line here is actually touching it. The stochastic is under the oversold line and beginning to point towards the red line, as you can see. And again, we have the confirmation, the harmonic scanner and the Bollinger Bands, right? So we would have waited for this candle at the D to close and enter, market execute as soon as the candle closes, right? We will market execute. So let's focus on where our entry would have been if we have market execute. That would have been our entry there, that thick green line. Let's see if we would have caught our 10 pips. Right. So yes, we caught our 10 pips. 2 seconds. Just change the color. So we caught our 10 pips right there on that blue line. We would have entered here on the green, taken our take profit on the blue line here. That would have been our 10 pip take profit that we would have modified in our MetaTrader 4, right? And you would have caught that in one candle. In one candle, right? So if you notice here how the harmonic scanner called this for a buy. Now remember, the harmonic scanner is 87% chance that the trade is going to go in that direction. Unfortunately, these are one of the trades that would have not hit take profit 1 and would have hit the stop loss here at the bottom. As you can see, this red candle hit the stop loss. But with this BRS strategy, you would have caught your 10 pips, came out of this trade even before the stop loss was hit, right? So you can see how this strategy gives more probability. As I say, it's a high probability trade, right? And I believe that once you're using the harmonic scanner and you're aligning this strategy, that you can have consistent wins, right? Now remember I said you can use the harmonic scanner stop loss, or you can set a 20 pip stop loss. That is totally up to you. But I have given you 2 examples here of how you can use this strategy along with the harmonic scanner and secure the bag very easily before take profit 1. All right, so I'm going to do one more example. I'm going to do GBP USD. Right? We're focusing on the candle at the D. Right? So in this case, you will not, the candle at the D is not touching the bottom of the Bollinger Bands, right? The RSI is not touching the oversold, neither is the stochastic, right? But let's go back here. Let us envision that, let me just put the D here as well. So let's envision this candle here was the D, right? So just gonna put it in red. I'm gonna put it in bold so you can see, right? So I'm changing the candle on the D just to give you an example. So let's say that this red candle here is the D, right? And we want to see if our confirmations would have lined up. So this is just to practice how your confirmations should look, right? So over here, we can see that the candle is closed outside of the Bollinger Bands. Harmonic scanner is calling a buy on this trade. This is an M formation, right? The RSI, so let's get those vertical lines in. So we know what we were talking about. The RSI is showing oversold. The stochastic is also showing oversold and actually pointing towards the red line, right? So it's starting to point towards the red line. We would have had all of our confirmations there. Wait until the red candle close, right? And we would have entered as soon as that candle closed, right? Right there on the green, where I've just put that line. And let's see if we would have caught our 10 pips. Right? So our 10 pips, we would have caught our 10 pips as much as the market, as you can see, is trading sideways in between these points. You would have caught your 10 pips and secured the bag and came out of this trade, right? So this is just an example, as you can see. Guys, again, make sure that you would have taken your notes based on what I would have put on the whiteboard. I've given you the examples. I've given you the confirmations. I've given you the take profit, which is 10 pips, right? And I've given you the stop loss, which you should either use the harmonic scanner stop loss or use a 20 pips stop loss, whichever one you favor the most, and you can be consistently profitable with this strategy. Remember, this strategy is 97%, right? So which means that if you have to do 100 trades, 97% of them are winning trades, right? So long as you stick to the strategy. Now, as a bonus today, I'm going to give you extra information, and I'm going to talk this information out, so you need to write down what I'm saying. Now, with this strategy, try not to enter any more than 5 trades at any given time, which means that if you have 5 trades running at the moment, do not enter another one. Wait until one or many of them close out, and then you can look for new opportunities, right? Now, I'm also going to advise that you should have an idea of how many pips you would like to catch daily, right? I aim to catch 50 pips daily, so once I catch my 50 pips, I am out of the charts until tomorrow, right? So, guys, it's key to understand how many pips you want to catch per day, because this strategy is about being disciplined. This strategy is about being disciplined. You need to be disciplined with the confirmations. You need to be disciplined with the take profit. You need to be disciplined with the stop loss. And you need to be disciplined with how many trades you can enter at any given time, right? This is key. You don't want to go into too many trades. And if some of them had to go negative, your account can't handle it, right? So remember, maximum 5 trades at any given time. All right. So I hope you guys have that information, and I want you know to go on, use the information I would have given you today, and let me know how successful this strategy has been for you. Guys, I want to thank you for tuning in to myself, Coach Care. I'm teaching you the BRS strategy. I hope you found it very useful. I hope that you are able to use it going forward. And remember to let me know how it has been working for you. Thank you again, guys, and take care.